Picture it, Los Angeles, 2024.
Oh, welcome to Out on the Lanai, the only Golden Girls podcast you're ever gonna need to listen to. I am HAlanScott / Sadie Payne.
I'm Kerri Doherty, and today we have such a special treat for all of you.
So special.
So special. As you all know, as part of our Patreon and the GGVIP Club, we've been doing some really fun exclusive interviews with cast, crew member, producers, writers of the Golden Girls. And we thought today, you know what? It's summer, it's hot. We're feeling like we want to give. I want to give.
I wanna give them a little something good. Can't.
Can't afford it.
Can't afford it.
We decided that today we wanted to share with you an incredible interview that we did with Hilary Shepard, aka I'm Yvonne, and this is it.
So
Woo!
we need to talk because now, if y'all, this is a special gift for you guys. There's still another episode this week. You should go listen to that. We're covering Mama's Family and all that. But this interview was so much fun. I enjoyed Hilary so much. The joy that Hilary exudes, the energy that Hilary exudes, it is just infectious. And I was just like, we gotta give them this. We gotta give them this. So you can listen to it on the podcast feed, of course, but you can also go to our YouTube and watch the full chat there as well. It's funny in the video because my camera is placed like in a normal setting, and Kerri and Hilary, I think, are like maybe on their phones or something, or like their cameras are high up. So it looks like I'm like crouched down really low in the video, which is really funny to watch. But no, it was such a great little video chat that we had, that I thought it would be so fun to give everyone a full taste of what happens over on the Patreon.
Yeah. So interviews with Hilary, we did a great interview with Marsha Posner Williams.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple really amazing guests coming up that are
Huge
going to be on the
ones.
Patreon.
Massive.
Huge.
I'm so excited. Oh my God. If you are not subscribed to the Patreon, do it now at the $8 level, because that's how you're going to get those interviews, right? That's the $8. Yeah.
Yes, that's the $8 level.
And it is just, I mean, if the $5 level is also wonderful, and you
because you get a Rusty Anchor happy hour every week, which is the two of us talking even more about the Golden Girls. We play Golden Girls Mad Libs. We talk about our lives.
Yeah.
We find random YouTube videos of the women, like B. Arthur, looking at a foot fetish person.
It's so fun.
Like on Graham Norton. Fun. It's so good. It's so good.
I mean, the $5 level is also wonderful, but the $8 level is just everything. And I do think it would be, you guys, if you're a true GG fan, you're going to love these interviews. You're going to love these chats. And I really wanted to share Hilary with you all, and to say that, like, your support means a lot to us. And we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary. And, yes, joining the Patreon would be an amazing way of supporting us. But another way of supporting us, which we really could use, is going into the reviews of wherever you are listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, leaving a little review, rating and review. It really, really does help the podcast, especially because, there's a big landscape of podcasts out there right now, which we didn't have back in 2014. So we need, if you're brand new to the podcast, go leave a little rating and review. That helps. But if you've done a rating and review before, try doing it again. Like, it really does help the podcast.
This is like the one time a year when you go on a Wikipedia page and they're asking you for money.
Yeah, this is us.
This is
our NPR fund drive.
This is our NPR. This is Ira Glass asking for donations for This American Life. No, I know we do it every week, but it's a really fun community.
And if you do leave a little rating and review and you screenshot it, and maybe if you send it to us, who knows? I might, Kerri or I might in the DMs, send us to a DMs on Instagram. We might send you a little voice message or something, a little thank you love note. I think that would be fun, actually.
I love leaving people voice messages.
Me too, actually. I love it. I do it for you all the time. It's so funny. I realized earlier when I was leaving you a voice message for something I forget, I end my voice message with you like you're like my wife or something. I'm like, okay, love you, bye. Yeah. I mean, I'm the gayest husband ever, but like still.
Sometimes, because I'll be like doing stuff with little Oreo and I'll see that you've left an audio message and I'll be like, oh shit, I can't listen to it. Well, hold on, let me just try to read it. And I'm like, nope, I don't know what this says. All right, I just have to remember to listen to this.
It's a mess. I always try to remain as appropriate as possible, knowing that little Oreo might be listening, but occasionally a fuck does drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it
on that
happens.
note, I say we should get to our interview with Hilary and tell everybody that they can join the GGVIP club at patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast. But we really hope you love this interview because we had so much fun doing it.
It was so much fun. Oh my God, Hilary, we love you. I have to say though, I told Kerri, because Kerri was going to start things off, but I told her, I was like, wait, I have a joke. Because Hilary and Kerri are both recording from closets. And as the resident homosexual, I am the one not in a closet. Thank you. I will not go back into the closet. So you guys have fun in the closet. I will be out here in my living room.
Well, don't you know, I'm one of the first lesbians of Hollywood. Daryl and I were, and this is like, I want to say the 80s.
Daryl Hannah, we should say.
Daryl Hannah, my best friend.
For the younger people.
Listen, my daughter is gay. My other daughter is bisexual. Like, but we actually were not lesbians. However, one of her assistants stole an article to the Star, and it was like a two-parter, and it's like, I found Daryl Hannah in bed with her beautiful best friend, of course, and I'm like, yeah, of course, we always sleep together and whatever. So we went to try to sue them, and back then there was never there's never been a precedent. Carol Burnett, like 10 years later or something like that, actually sued and won, but nobody would help us. We had a huge lawyer at the time, and he's like, have you ever seen each other naked? I'm like, yeah. I get us up together in bed. I'm like, all the time. He's like, you don't have a case. I'm like, but I thought we were soaking each other's breasts in the shower. We were not doing that.
Hilary.
So everybody in Hollywood still to this day thinks Daryl and I are.
I'm going to say up top right now, right here, I'm obsessed with you, and I will be completely unable to be unbiased in this interview because
I have to tell you something really funny. So when I met my fuzzband, I call him, he's a fake husband. We've been together for, I think, 15 years. We're engaged to never be married. So my sister named him my fuzzband. And when I met my husband, he lives in Newport Beach. I'm in LA. Don't even ask how I met. It's a long story. He's a surf doctor. He's like gorgeous here down here. The most gorgeous man you've ever seen. Has no idea. Now I'm this nut job from Long Island, right? So how it works, we don't know. But when I met him, his mother pulled him aside and she's like, I'm reading this book about JFK, and I just want you to know you're dating a lesbian. JFK was the beard for Daryl and Hilary. And I'm like, I see this book. She was reading a book. And so that family's, 15 years later, I'm still,
wow.
So the book quoted the Star as like, and then Daryl and I would be out all the time, and we were holding hands. She was crabby. He grabbed me to go into a premiere, and they're like holding hands, and there's JFK. So now his whole family, because it was in this book, and they quoted it from the Star. So even though we were going to sue the publisher, it didn't matter because they got the source from the Star. They were quoting that. But so it's terrible. It just never ends.
I have lots of questions about all of those things.
A little side story.
But we should start with the Golden Girls, right, Kerri?
Yeah, we've got to start with the Golden Girls.
Okay, go.
Hilary, did you ever realize when you got that job that the words, I'm Yvonne, and this is it, were going to follow you around for the rest of your life?
Well, you know what's so strange, you guys, and you probably can't imagine this because you guys are so young.
Oh, thank you. We just look young.
In the 80s, there was no recording. If you didn't see a TV show when you were home, you didn't see it. Yeah. So, I think I had to hire somebody. Now, I don't even know if somebody was around then. Later, I never even had a copy of it because eventually you could hire this one guy in Hollywood. He was hugely obese, and you go into his house, you couldn't even walk, and he had stacks and stacks of videos, and his job would be to record you as an actor when your show came on and make a tape for you. So I saw it. And, I had no idea. I'd never seen the Golden Girls. Because you had to be home to watch. I was like 20 years old. I wasn't watching TV at night,
Yeah, you were out lesbianing with Daryl Hannah everywhere. Yeah.
I had a band. I was on the road. I had a record out. Like, I had no idea. You just don't know. I mean, the bad news, too, is that you don't get paid like that. So all the shows that I've been on since are all I had 50 episodes on Netflix of the Power Rangers. I don't get a dime from that because it wasn't, it was not, it invented then. So I did not know it was going to be iconic. You know, you hope so. I mean, as a weird kid growing up on an island where I was very funny looking, and my sister was the gorgeous, funny one, and I was like the quiet one, and I also was funny, but she always taught for me, and I let her, you know. But I was funny on my own quiet way. But I didn't really speak till she went to college at Montez. But I drew people to me with my personality and I know I would just sit home after school and watch like Batman and want to be Catwoman and like I just wanted to be on TV so badly. My mother was a kind of, you know, the typical Jewish mom, but not in like the way where she's like, yeah, you think your Jew's the best. You know, she's like, come here and see it. You're very green. In sixth grade, she's like, you can't go out of the house like that. I've got to put blush on you. People weren't allowed to wear makeup in the 60s. When she goes to school in sixth grade, for me it was mandatory. I had to wear makeup, you know. So my mother loved movie stars and loved watching TV. So I think, you know, maybe because I wanted her attention or whatever. So just being on any TV show, and I knew it was an iconic show, but I really had never seen it. You know, when people ask, you know, what's your favorite episode? I'm like, my own? I don't know, you know, because we didn't watch. You couldn't watch stuff back then.
Well, it should be your own. Let's for the record, your favorite episode of the Golden Girls should be the one that you were on.
Yes.
And then I feel like I was on in a movie with, I think it was one of them. Was I don't know. Maybe I was. I don't know.
That's what I wanted to ask you. So like you obviously were living a very not fancy, but like fun Hollywood life and in a band, and like you were doing different
band. I was like, I was making $50 a week for my band, and I was like, oh God, freaking rich.
Well, but you also were like, you were doing other things, and you were acting, and you were doing these things.
And that wasn't allowed back then.
Did you know?
You know, Madonna was the first famous musician that was also in a movie, but when I was coming up at the same time as her, and it was really, really looked down upon. You could not do anything else, and people get very frustrated. I had a big manager who managed my record, my band career on IRS labels that he owned, and he's the one who sent me for the audition, I think, for the Golden Girl. Like they would send me, it was like me and Courtney Cox they had, because Courtney was their cousin, and they had a little roster of actors, and I was also in the Groundlings doing comedy improv, and no one knew what to do with me. I did comedy improv, I sing, I can do everything in acting, and it was just like, what, pick a lane, you know.
So when you went in for that audition, did you, so you knew of the show, did you know B. Arthur, did you know us?
Yes, I watched Maude. I loved freaking Maude. I was freaking out. I knew her the most, and Betty White. I knew Betty White from, you know, also the Dick Van Dyke that I used to watch all the time. So the two of them, they were like icons to me, and I'd only seen them on TV, and they were, so I'll tell you the whole thing. I remember it really clearly because it was like one of the first big jobs I got. And I didn't realize how big, you know, really, because I beat out a lot of people. And I remember being in my aerobics outfit, and we were all there, like for your callback, full aerobics outfit. I had just went to aerobics that morning. Jane Fonda used to teach the aerobics classes. So like, Daryl and I used to go. It was on Robertson. She would teach the freaking class. So we always went to these aerobic classes together, and like the step classes. So I was like, I was going to base it on Jane, you know?
Wow.
So then that morning I stayed in my outfit.
Yeah.
That was my real hair.
In the audition, did you have to come up with your own moves for whirlybirds, jackhammers, and windshield wipers?
Yes. I knew when they were. I did it with Jane. So I remember too, like, you're like, okay, I want to leave, but Hilary, and I was just like, yeah. And it's so awful because it's happened to me where I have to leave and not stay, but everyone's in the outfits and so hopeful. But I think I got a lot of jobs back then because if you have never, you know, like it wasn't as iconic, so I wasn't as nervous because I also had my band, and sometimes when I get acting work, I'm like, shit, now I can't go on tour. Like, it was almost a pain in the ass to get an acting job, so I wasn't as, I think in the small desperation from actors, it really turns people off, so anytime I didn't really care that much, I didn't think I would ever get it. in a million years, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the secret sauce to landing a job is when you are like, I
Yes.
almost can't be bothered with this, but also I know I'm not going to get it, so I have nothing to lose. That
I mean,
seems to be the perfect combination
every
for when
job,
actors
even the
land
Power
gigs.
Rangers, I remember I didn't know what it was. I had two daughters. They weren't watching it. I turned it on right before I saw some screaming lady with a purple thing in her hair. I put a purple thing in my hair. And I got lost on the way. And I'm like, oh, I'm never going to get it anyway. And then something inside me was like, you know what? No, turn around. Back then we had these maps. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I
We had
remember maps.
books. Page 34 was ripped out. That was the page it was supposed to be. You would have this guy, you know, these maps in this book, and I'm trying to get there. I'm like, forget it, you know. And then I turned around and the same thing, like when you're thinking no chance, you know.
Yeah.
So that's how I felt with the Golden Girls. I really did. And then I mean, they were exactly how you think they were. Betty White was the sweetest, most amazing person. I remember B. Arthur definitely stood very close to me and was giving me the up and down. And I was like, oh, hello. And because I remember we were lining up to go out before, if you go in front of a live audience, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like waiting with them all to go up. And he's like, you know, don't be, you know, getting me the, don't be nervous. And we was like, you know, it was really funny. It was just so sweet. But it was so much fun, and I was in my element, and I did a lot of sitcoms because you did it in front of a live audience, and I was in the groundings doing comedy improv where people would give me a suggestion, I'd have to make up a whole scene, so I had lines, and I
Yeah.
would always add things. You know, I always added things. I don't remember. I think that was so well written I didn't, but there's a lot of times where I always add my funny little bit. It could backfire too, because the writers sometimes get mad if you get a big laugh. But
Yeah.
they had, I didn't even need to improvise. They knew what they were doing. And I mean, I have very vivid memories of that. And that was a long time ago.
Well, I want to ask about the time on set because for so many guest actors on The Golden Girls, usually it's one scene and done. Like
That's it, yeah.
that's it. But you got two meaty scenes in a big part of the episode that has become, I mean, the gifts from this moment are
I
everywhere all the
know.
time. Like your
No.
lines are
With
iconic.
everything I've done, it's weird. I always end up, even you know, Troop Beverly Hills, when I had literally one line and I'd written the song. That's a whole other story I can talk about later. It's a gift that never goes away. It's crazy, but there wasn't such a thing as gifts back then, or
No.
you know,
No.
it's like one and done. If you didn't see the movie in the theaters, I mean, you know, I remember waiting around for Wizard of Oz to come on once a year when I was a kid. Like you didn't get to see these movies ad nauseam.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, what was it like on set working with them, going through those scenes? And also, I have to ask, seeing them in the second scene, seeing B. Arthur and Rue McClanahan in those outfits. I mean, the laugh from the studio audience must have been insane.
God. Don't forget I was doing comedy from the grounding, so I knew how to do that. But my God, I mean, we had to hold. It was they were so freaking funny. But I was used to that. I was used to not me, you know, being in a comedy troupe where you got a ton of laughs and you knew when to hold. And I was really made for sitcoms because a lot of people get nervous in front of an audience. I love it. You know.
Yeah.
So I was nervous. I do remember that. And I remember like, that's why Betty White beforehand, she's like, you know, don't worry. And the good thing is you can stop and start. I've done plays off Broadway and plays on my whole life. You know, and you can't stop and start. So this was like, shit, if you do mess up, but you don't want to, and I didn't, thank God, you know, you can do it again. You just don't want to be the guest star that messes up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that has to be a lot of pressure.
It is. And I was young, but, and then I never saw it. I never saw it for years and years.
That's wild to me how you never saw it. Like,
but that makes sense. So if you're not home and there's no syndication, or you know what I mean, there's no And
then I didn't. I think my agent found that guy who then found it on a rerun because you knew you're going to get paid sitcoms are great. Anytime you guest stars, and you're going to get paid twice. It was going to play, and then you get your rerun fee, but you don't know it's going to play ad nauseum. We still get 2-cent checks.
Not to brag.
I mean, I really do. I'm like, put in my 2 cents, literally. But you know, it was a huge deal. It was a huge deal. And of course, my mom's like, "Forgive me, Zia, I can answer that night. I can't watch." I mean, she could watch Daryl ad nauseum. Sting taught me how to play the bass. She would send me articles clipped out of Sadie. But when I was on TV, she was very busy. So,
She had canasta that night.
I mean, that's important. Do you have any memories from this set besides like going out? Like, do you have any memories of the girls or anything that stands out to you that
table read, rehearsals?
I do remember so the table read, it was such great hours because you work normal hours and then you, the executive, you do a table read at first when everyone meets everybody. And I just remember it's very hard to be the guest star because everyone, they're like a group of people and they don't really have to get to know you because you're not coming back.
Mhm.
And, but they were so nice, so welcoming. They knew that you want to make your guest star happy because, you want a good show. So why?
Yeah.
I've been on shows where people are so mean and timid, like, you're just like a star, so I'm not talking.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do that? They understood that they were pros. They all made me feel welcome. I remember Betty White. I was too afraid to go get food, and I saw her go at the plate. She saw me look at her plate, and she went and got me food from the craft service because I was too embarrassed. She's like, yes.
That's so Betty.
She was very sweet. She was the most attentive. She could see when I was nervous or, but they really had a great rapport. There was no fighting. Like I did a movie with Kirk Douglas and Burt Lancaster, around that time. It was supposed to be a huge movie, and Dana Carvey, of course, it flopped. But that's my story. But they used to count their lines. Kirk Douglas and Burt. It would come at this. They'd be hours late, but they arrived at the same time. Like it was such old movie star shit.
Wow.
And they hated each other, and these women loved each other. And
that's
great nice.
And also, they're generous. A lot of times, you're the setup. You're not the funny one for that. You need to know how to do comedy, but you're not going to get the funny lines. You need to set them up for funny. And a lot of times, when you get a laugh during sitcoms, they take it away from you. The next thing you know, blah, blah, blah has your freaking great line because they're the star. It was none of that. None of that. Which was, I didn't know at the time, that was very unusual.
I mean, your setup for B. Arthur, like just selling them the leg warmers and everything, and then she says,
good.
And then she says
leg
friction.
warmers. Yeah, that is.
The other thing for me that was a good part to play. If you're very nervous, which I remember I was at first, and then I relaxed because I had a ton of lines.
Yeah,
and
you had a lot.
Yeah, I could freak myself out. I could definitely, you have to really get in control of your brain. And I remember when they're like in 3, 2, and you're just like, your heart's going,
and you're in your own head, or you're worried about getting in your own head. Yeah.
I didn't have I had a technique. I was just mostly a stage actress then, so that was very helpful. I learned I had to really tone myself down. I did movies. The first movie I did, I was like hugely, the 80s faces, and I didn't know, am I in close up? I didn't know what to ask. Sitcoms are made for you because they're over the top. I knew I could do it. I'm not going to have to cry, and I could just be a bitch, kind of. So that was a good go-to for me. If you're nervous, especially, you can just, and I always played, of course, just look at me, I was, I'm 5'11", and, I just look like an evil queen. So it was easier for me to play those parts. But I just remember how well everybody got along,
Yeah. I love how self-aware you are of, because even Yvette, we're not supposed to necessarily like Yvette. Like she is
Yvonne.
Yvonne. Excuse me, Yvonne. We're not necessarily. I don't know why I go to Yvette. I must know a Yvette. But Yvonne, we're not necessarily supposed to like her because she does essentially con these women into spending a lot of money.
She's being a good salesperson.
Yes, they'll wear these wants. Who cares? They're never coming back. Sell, upsell, and make them feel like they're not good enough to belong. That was my mind, like sell, upsell. Like I felt at freaking Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
What am I doing there,
Well, I also have to ask, so you were doing aerobics, so you were already like very familiar with, I'm assuming, like all of the wardrobe that aerobics was like in the 80s and that time. I have to ask, the specifically the pink and black aerobics outfit that you were wearing, was it surprisingly comfortable, or was that like Wedgie City and all the?
No, you didn't know any difference. You had a thong up your butt. we were really shiny. That killed me when my little daughters were growing up and people started wearing 80s crap again. And I'm like, we didn't like it the first time around. It wasn't cool then. I'm not wearing neon leggings again, girls. No, neither are you. You know.
Because
So,
you spent a lot of time in those clothes. It's not like you were in those clothes for a workout class. You were in those clothes, presumably for rehearsals and tape night for 2 tapings. That must have just been.
No, it's second nature. Joe and I would gut in our outfits, full outfits for aerobics like that. I remember one of the last times I went, Jane Fonda had a big rip in her tights, and we were horrified. But we never had a rip in our tights. So you're just used to it. Then you'd go to lunch. You'd go to the Ivy, which is right next door. Fancy place for lunch. You put your scrunchie in and your freaking leg warmers on, and off you went.
You know what's so great about both the Golden Girls, but also Power Rangers and other things that you've done? You have Halloween costumes for the rest of your life.
I know, but you would never want to wear them.
I mean, I kind of would.
I do, and
I wear them again until I went to the Golden Girls thing on the Comic-Con.
I do want to take this opportunity. If you're watching this on the video, I am holding up Kevin Kline, who's one of our favorite Golden Girls artists.
We love Kevin.
Has a really great Yvonne. He actually gave this to me, Hilary. You signed it. This is Yvonne with her water bottle and her very white sneakers and her pink and black aerobics outfit. And it is one of. You don't have one?
Oh,
we'll make sure you get one.
He sent me. I think I have a coffee cup. I gotta find that. But I don't have a picture.
We'll get you a picture.
We'll reach out. We'll get you a picture.
Yes.
You can't have mine though, Hilary. I'm so sorry. It's up in my Golden Girls room with all my favorite Golden Girls stuff.
Out of here. Blah, blah, blah. You promised if I did this as a
we don't talk about what we bribe our guests. We'll make sure you get one.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet.
Well,
yeah, I mean, going to the Golden Girls, the convention was so incredible. I didn't think anyone would even know who I was. I was,
Oh, we know.
And also,
we know.
The reason, going back, I'd gotten things in the mail for Power Rangers and Star Trek, emails, and I never would go. I was like, I'm not going. I'll just sit there. No one will know me. And then I'd written a book, a YA novel, and my publicist was like, you have to go to these things and sell your book. So that's why I started my inventions. And you can't believe people know you. I mean, I get a lot of fan mail, but you don't know. You think you're so obscure, and nobody remembers you.
And that's the wonderful thing about, I think, the internet, but also just social media in general, is that there are fans like Kerri and I who obsess over these things in a way that I just recently, I remember I was with my boyfriend and I went to this event here in LA, and there was someone from one episode of Real Housewives of Beverly or of New York. He did one episode. He was just talking to one of the housewives. It was just, from this early in the season when Alex was a model and she was taking a photo shoot, and she was talking. And she was talking about how all the shows. She was walking in all these Fashion Week shows or whatever, and then he was like, "Which shows?" And she's like, she couldn't remember the shows. That's all it is. That's all it is.
God.
But I freaked out on that guy because he was at the party that I was at, and I was like, and that's the kind of fans that Kerri and I are, is that you obsess over, you watch something so much, you love it so much that you make celebrities out of, literally anyone can be a celebrity, which is kind of like.
Andy Warhol was right. Everyone's going to have their success, but you didn't realize, everybody.
Insane. Well, so what kind of reception do you have today from Golden Girls fans? Do you have any fun encounters that stand out to you?
Well, what happens to me all the time is people come up to me and go, "Oh, excuse me, are you an actress?" No. They come up to them and go, "Yeah, I think I know you. Yeah, you're an actress. Do I know you?" And I name things, and they'll go, "No, that's not it. That's not it." And they never know where they know me from. I have had a few diehards, of course. Over the years, every couple times a year, people mostly in airports will be like, "Oh my God, it's Yvonne." But it's weird that they can recognize me because I'm kind of run older. And my hair is not as, my mother was even like, "Why didn't put you in that wig?" I'm like, "Mom, it's my hair. That's my curly Jufro that you gave me." By the way, but So people, yeah, it's always shocking to me that people recognize me. Sometimes I remember being at an airport like that when you're checking in and they're just looking down and then they hear your voice and they look up and then look at your name and they're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
and you get upgraded. So it's great.
That is one of the
Ooh,
weird. I
that's
mean,
a perk.
I've gotten this before just from all the podcasts and audio stuff that I do, that people recognize my voice and they don't necessarily recognize me sometimes, which is like, which is a weird experience.
It's funny. Yeah. I mean, I had the greatest career because I saw my friends who got very famous and what that's like. And I just worked consistently. People knew me enough. I've been known enough to go to conventions or whatever, and not where it like ruins your life, you know.
Mhm.
Well, that's kind of what it's all about. You know what I mean? It's sort of the idea of just working, and it's important to be work, and also that you have the respect of the people around you. That's really the most important part.
And that's such an amazing feedback. When I hear what people like you and you're like, oh my God, I can watch that episode a million times, or even kids growing up, you made my child to a lot of gay people, you know, especially watch Golden Girls and Power Rangers. And when they're, you know, I just did a great show for this guy. He's on YouTube. His name is Brandon.
Oh, Brandon Rogers. Yeah. He's a friend of mine. Yeah.
He was like obsessed with Power Rangers and he wrote me this incredible part. And I did come out of retirement. I do some probably lifetime movies to do it, to play his mother. And he's just like, I had no cable. I was like this little, you know, gay kid in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's my touchstone, and it's just so nice to know
you were in those with my friend Cornbread, the drag queen.
Yes, I love Cornbread.
Yes.
My God, I thought I almost killed Cornbread. So the last day, this is horrible. So the last day we were shooting, Cornbread was going off to go do like all the gay pride stuff.
Yes.
So that she takes off. The next day, she's not there. She's gone. But I started feeling, I didn't feel sick on the set. I get back there. They put me at this hotel, Casa G, because I live so far now. And I started, and I knew I got COVID that night. And I thought, oh my God, I've given COVID to Cornbread, and she's now going to spread it like freaking typhoid Cornbread Mary all over every gay pride. But she didn't. She didn't get it. Thank God. Oh my God. But I don't know who gave it to me, but I thought I just filled every gay person in America. Oh my God, there's a beautiful hawk outside. It's a red hawk. Anyway, so that was the close one. But it's so nice to hear what you meant to people in their, you know, in their childhoods. That's all you can hope for.
Well, that's something that I think is really, that's something that I did want to bring up, in that, like, you know, of course, in Hollywood, queer people, we have allies, and we have people who like will, you know, who support us, and everyone's pretty liberal for the most part, but it is rare to have allies in entertainment that like will actively participate in the things that we as queer people create and do, like what you did for Brandon Rogers, or like you'll go to Golden Con, or like things like that that are, you know, primarily like a lot of queer guys who are like, or queer people in general who are just freaking out on this thing.
And I've just been an ally. Of course, both my daughters are queer, but, you know, my whole life I had, you know, gay friends, even being a drama nerd in like Long Island in the 60s. Can you imagine? It was me and, you know, Floyd from down the street. It wasn't cool to do plays or anything. So, and then I went to Northwestern. My roommate Joey was one of my best friends, and when he came out here, I lived through the AIDS epidemic. I mean, Daryl and I did a movie. I mean, Summer Lovers. She was the star of the movie. I was modeling in Milan, and came and hung out. Everybody on that cast and crew died. Like, we were so aware of these, or anybody. You know, everybody you work with is pretty. You know, pretty queer in the industry. So if you're a performer and don't do that, it's impossible. I mean, even. You know, not just the stereotypical makeup and hair and costume. I mean, you know, the direct everything. You know, so it was kind of shocking when you go to the rest of the world and it's still not caught off like that, and it's you know, anywhere really. But I'm happy anything. If anyone ever wants to reach out to me, I would you know, happy to do anything.
Well, one thing that I know you get a lot of attention for is Power Rangers and your part as Divatox, right? Is that the name? Divatox? Yeah,
Divatox.
What, I mean, you even have on, I think, your Instagram, a picture of you dressed up in one of the like a costume from Power Rangers, I think.
That was my, so this is how I started doing conventions. As I said, I wrote this YA novel, and it was named Jesus, which is a very bad name because they thought it was religious, but it was supposed to be a spoof, you know, spoof. But everything in that book has come true. My Daryl calls me the witch. My friends who know me, I had a bunch of recurring dreams since I was little, and I wrote this book about it. Steve for things. So not everyone from Trump being president to people picking the sex they want to be, children. I mean,
Wow.
people named after celebrities. I mean, it is. I'm glad I had. It was nobody read it, but there is like you can see when I published it, and it's like, and The Big Sick. There was a thing called The Big Sick before that movie, The Big Sick.
Yeah.
They got it from my book, but The Big Sick was a thing where, like we did with COVID, where that's what, and anyway, I'd always dreamt about these dreams, and I've had a lot of dreams that have come true throughout my life, and people who know me my whole life are like Daryl, she just calls me the witch, and but I have no control over it. I knew when Jody was a friend of mine. I warned him 2 days before his death. Phil Hartman, the day he died.
Oh my God.
So many, but then like when John Kennedy died, I had no idea. And then a friend of mine just died 2 days ago, unfortunately.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
So, I mean, it was, it's not like I can control it, but, anyway, so I don't, going on a tangent, but anyway, so I wrote this book, and that's when I started going to conventions. And when I went to the Power Ranger convention, I was just shocked that people knew who I was. And I didn't even know if people watched that show, because my daughters, tried to put it on. They couldn't care.
I watched it. I remember being in the pool as a kid. I hated the water as a kid, but I'd only get in the pool to act out Power Ranger scenes.
Are you kidding?
Because you can kind of like fly through the air and fight in a pool.
Oh
and,
my God.
Yeah.
I love that a lot. And I know a lot of kids love to be mermaids, and a lot of kids love to be Power Rangers, which is crazy amazing. And I'm so glad.
Well, I mean, those outfits, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
You're right.
There were some of the blue Power Ranger. I mean, come on.
I mean, it was, and I mean, my was amazing. Even though I was pregnant throughout the whole thing, my boobs were out here. But a girl was wearing that outfit, and I bought it from her. I should have had her make me one, because it was so huge on me. But I still have it, and I have my original mask. My mask, I borrowed it from the special effects guy like years ago.
We all borrow things from jobs.
This was my practice mask. Then there's my actual mask, screen use mask that someone else has found that I talked to a bunch of times online, and he's let me wear it at different conventions. He'll present it to me in a box. He wants you to, from somebody, he wants you to wear this. I'm like, can I keep it? No. But I didn't even know to keep. You didn't even know to keep stuff back then.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford hat from the freaking
Indiana Jones?
Which Indiana Jones?
Yeah, the first one.
Wow.
I threw it back at him.
Wow.
And I should have kept it. I would have lost it by now, but I would have been so rich.
Yeah,
you would have gotten a lot for that on auction.
The other thing, dated, and then he had a girlfriend and this whole thing. So he gave it to me, and I was like, "But it's my booby prize," and I threw it out. I'm like, "Fuck, I should have kept the booby prize."
Well, the other thing that I love, because I love just you as an actor, because you're so open to so many different types of genres and different things. And one of the things, one of my favorite little tidbits from your resume is a film that both Kerri and I remember, I think from when we were kids, that is the most expensive direct-to-video film ever, Theodore Rex with Whoopi Goldberg.
You know Theodore Rex?
Yeah.
Of course we
I told you, we're younger
Rex.
than we look.
Older than we look, I should say now.
We're older than we look. Yeah. I have mom brain right now.
Same thing. I went to meet with, I'd done Radioactive Dreams. It was this amazing casting director. I loved her so much. Her name was Elizabeth Lustig, and she cast me in so many things. She ended up dying in Russia, looking the wrong way, Hudson Street. I don't know, it was horrible. But she was just a beautiful person. So she would have me in on these crazy movies. And I remember Theodore Rex, and the director started telling me everything and showing me the plot. I go, "Are you high? Like, how do you think this is going to work?" I was such a bitch. And he gives me the part. I was up for something else. And then he gave me, it was like so bizarre. But I mean, talk about not wanting to apart. But I just couldn't wait to see it. And it was the dumbest freaking idea. Dinosaurs who eat cookies and live in a dinosaur land, but with humans. Oh my God, who thought of this? I said that to him. I was like,
I love that. And actors out there, listen up. Just shit on the project. Act like you don't want it.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie. Where is it?
Oh, well, it's on
probably
VHS
on YouTube.
somewhere, clearly.
Yeah,
it's on YouTube.
It's probably on
now.
YouTube.
I mean, that's only one scene of a cop, right? Do I get
I
killed?
think so. I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I when I
I'm
saw
gonna go
that,
look for it. I forgot
yeah.
that one.
Well,
You just have to find the big
When I-
guy. Find the guy with all the VHS tapes.
No, he died a long time ago. He was
Oh.
easily overweight. He had to take breaks every 2 seconds to eat because I guess he had hyperglycemia or something, or
Oh,
diabetes.
yeah.
So he wasn't long for this role. He was the man. He would just sit in his thing. You had to weave your way to this giant chair. I don't know if you ever got up there. Snacks everywhere. And then rows and rows of videotape for the old house in Hollywood Flats, like a Craftsman house. And you had to go through like the aisle. But he was amazing. He would find anything you're on. I need him now.
I feel like I would. That's so funny to me. I feel like I would have been that person if I was alive in the 80s. I would have been the one to be like, oh, you need that episode? I recorded it. Don't worry.
Sorry, what do you mean if you were alive in the 80s?
Well, if I was an adult living on my own in the 1980s in Hollywood, I was not an
Okay.
adult. I was a child, but I was alive in the 80s. Yes, I was alive. Oh my God, that's so funny. Well, okay, Hilary, I have to, because I wanted to end things on this, because this is the thing that I did not know about you in learning and doing the research for this that I was blown away by. I mean, I knew you were friends with Daryl Hannah. I love Daryl Hannah. There is nothing better than Daryl Hannah in Steel Magnolias.
I know.
Nothing.
Cosign.
Nothing.
She was supposed to be Julie Roberts' part, and she wanted
Yes.
the character part. And I helped her develop that character. I worked on it with her because I'd seen the play, and she was amazing. She's a great comedian. See, people don't understand. Daryl is not Meg Ryan. I call Meg Ryan like a self-tress, and she's amazing, Meg Ryan, at being herself. I mean, the best.
Yeah.
Back in the day. But Daryl was an actress, but people didn't realize that when she did Clan of the Cave Bear, Splash, that's when she was at her best. Steel Magnolias, doing the character, but it's just so beautiful. People didn't realize that about her, but she's a character actress. When
She
she
really-
had to just be like the girlfriend, she would just disappear. You know, she was like me. I can't just be the girl. I'd be too crazy, wacky, and her way was just to be. She's a very quiet person in real life.
Yeah.
So she's amazing. She's a freaking brilliant actress.
Well, the two of you created 2 board games, if I'm correct. Love It or Hate It and Library, right?
Library was our biggest one, Library.
Yeah.
And as the story of our lives, it came out, this company went bankrupt. It's still being sold on Amazon. It gets me mad every time. We, of course, never made any money for it. About 3 weeks ago, the guy who owned the company called us. He now has an inventor's company. And long story short, the woman who was our biggest champion, who I still loved, who was the head of, not Brentanos, what's the other one? Barnes & Noble. She would buy all the games. And she is now some big wig somewhere else. I think Hasbro even is one of the smaller things. She's like even on top of that. And she wants to do it again. And we were supposed to do a kids version because all the librarians that loved it, they wanted to have a kids version too. So I think we're going to do both. So Library, look for it, Library. It's brilliant. It's based on an old parlor game. So it's kind of like, well, I'll just explain how you play it. So you spin the dial and it'll roll the dice or whatever you let's say you land on fiction. You go to that little bookshelf, you take out an actual book, let's say To Kill a Mockingbird, right? So you pick it out and you read, it has a cover art and then enough information on the back. If you've never read it and don't know how the person writes, you could have enough information to write the best fake first line that you can think of. So everybody writes a fake first line, you know, and then the person who's in at the time writes their, fake first line, and then they write the real one down. They get to read it and write it down, and everybody votes for the one they think is the real line. And you
That's
can
great.
never freaking tell. I even played it with my daughters when they were little, and my daughter won, I forget, some crazy book that she couldn't have possibly read, and she was like 8. And some of the books, and so everybody votes, and so you move along the board that way. If someone votes for you, or if you guess the real one, you get points, or if someone votes for your fake one, you get points. But we kept them over the years because we've played with everyone from Bonnie Raitt to Bobcat Goldthwait to, so we have actually, somebody actually wrote a book based on the safe first line they wrote too. And
That's
it's a
cool.
great And people think, like, I have friends when I'm in high school, I can't do this, and they're scared to play, and then they play and they love it. There's also children's books you can land on.
Oh
Dr.
my
Seuss,
God, that
right?
sounds like so much
Yeah,
That
fun.
sounds like a really fun game.
Can you
It's so freaking
can you
fun.
invite us and Daryl Hannah over to play? I
Well,
want to come.
yes, when it launches again, we should do like a virtual game
Oh,
night.
that would be fun.
Do that because we need to get it out there. But it's so in the early stages. At least we were with the guy who owned the company, so we don't have to ask anyone to get our rights back.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to happen like in the next year. So
Oh, that's
very cool.
exciting.
it's such a good. We won like Inventors of the Year. Like we had so many things, but we love to play games.
Oh.
We actually called it Lesbian Game Night because all our friends were gay. So all our lesbian girlfriends were like funniest writers and the funniest. So I remember Daryl and I were getting our nails done. This is when everyone thought we were gay, and I'm like, we got to get some food for Lesbian Gay Night. We're like talking back and forth, and we see like everybody watching us, and of course the next day in the paper, Daryl Hannah planning her lesbian wedding. I'm like, no, it wasn't a wedding, but. So we developed a lot of games through these game nights we would have with these, which were still our friends today. We just had the best time and the funniest.
So fun.
I love this. Well, the last question that we have for you, and it's the thing that we ask everybody basically who comes on this podcast, is if you had to choose one of the Golden Girls, which one are you?
I'm B.
Yeah. Oh, plot twist.
Well, I'm very sarcastic. I can be really bitchy, but with a heart of gold. And I have some Betty White in me. I would say I'm half and half because the Betty White part, I'm very scatterbrained. B was much more, from what I can gather, way more together than I ever been from. I'm the two of them, kind of. Really wacky and like, where am I? As you can see today, I'm listening to you by an hour because I saw that 1 o'clock. It said you had a heart out at 1, so that was.
I love, I mean, even just like in our text exchange and just like it's just what I love is one of the things that I love about Los Angeles. I lived in New York for a very long time and so I know New Yorkers very well. But when I moved to Los Angeles, one of the things that I love about Los Angeles, even though we are transplants, even you're a transplant too, it inspires kooky, interesting, quirky people to come here and just exist and just be themselves.
Wait to get here.
And it is so, and you are such a perfect example of that. I think.
Really sorry because I never flaked on people. I'm so responsible because as a New Yorker, I would hate that. You would come to LA and people wouldn't show up and they would just be like, "Oh, it's flaked." I think David Spade had a joke about that. Oh yeah, that's their excuse. I flaked, and you're like, okay, but I really am because I am retired and I'm just doing whatever the hell I want. I sleep late.
I love it.
Daryl and I are working on a movie project together right now, but it's a movie we've been writing since the 80s, and we've finally rewritten it to a place.
Oh, nice.
I'm so excited about it. Daryl's going to direct it.
I love that.
Getting the script together, and we had some good mentors. And anyway, I mean, there's very few projects I'm working on. I do my glass. I knit a lot. I travel. I live on this crazy little bird oasis. I don't live in LA. I have friends who'll come visit me or whatever, but I live a very quiet life now. And I really did screw up today, but I used to not be that way.
You didn't screw up at all.
No, you didn't screw up at all. Fine. We were actually, because you were so great with like emailing us and everything, we were both sitting here. We were like, oh God, I hope nothing happened to Hilary. Oh God, I hope she's not in a ditch somewhere.
And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right. I thought even like 5 minutes before you would have come out. So then I checked my messages and it's like, you just had one very beautiful, nice message, which is like, oh, if you're having any problems, let me know. So thank God you gave me your phone numbers. But we stopped for a nice speech lock. I found sea glass. I was thrilled with myself. I got my hair an hour late.
It's all good.
Where can people follow the amazing show that is Hilary Shepard online?
It's just I have an Instagram, Hilary Shepard. I don't really tweet or anything else, so just Hilary, my name. I was such an early adopter that I actually got my own name on Instagram. So it's just at Hilary Shepard 1L. And I clever bread because I wish I'd had 2 different Instagrams because it's so Power Ranger heavy because that's really my audience. Yeah. But they're completely not interested in anything else. If the Star Trek people are not interested in Power Rangers and vice versa, or distasteful of each other, the Golden Girls people could care less except for you. So
Yeah.
I think that I shouldn't have done separate Instagrams, but whatever it is. And I have some of my fashion, my knitting, my fans.
We're
So
here for all of it.
Yeah, we're here for all of it.
And this was so much fun.
thank you.
Out on the Lanai is not endorsed by Whit Thomas Harris Productions, Touchstone Television, Disney, or any of its subsidiaries. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, audio, and video clips of the Golden Girls are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.